At the moment of our birth, we are presented with a myriad of people who have been separated into binary groups known as male and female.
Johnny Seven's got him on the run.
Barbie! It's Barbie!
From an early age, we notice differences and learn specific ways to dress and behave based on this separation. Some of these differences are natural and physical,
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
and others are tendencies we adapt to and learn through culture and tradition.
The little woman has to do around the house.
The winners here will...
We have become familiar and comfortable with men and women having distinct differences as we define them. Typically, we are familiar with women being more feminine and men being more masculine, both by how we appear and behave. As of now, our society gives us a system of identifying ourselves from the perspective of 3 distinct states. Firstly, they tell us that our physical body differences we are born with, our genitals, is called our sex.
With an X chromosome, you became a female.
The state of being male or female.
It determines the sex of the offspring.
Then, based on whether we are male or female, expectations of our nature are automatically made on how we should all dress, behave, and think. Males are assumed to play a more masculine social role, and females are assumed to play a more feminine social role. This is called our gender. We understand that the intimate relationship of 2 people creates a union of chemistry and romance that can create love and new life. Tradition and society familiarizes us with the idea that it is only males and females who can naturally share this type of connection and intimacy. Lastly, our preference in terms of attraction is called our sexuality.
Given the ubiquitous influence of gender in a person's life, a lot of theories have been born to really define what gender development is. This is what the story of Gender the series is going to be all about. These theories can be generally divided into 4 categories. That is the reason why you will be seeing 3 episodes that will come your way.
Give it to me like...
First episode is up, and now we will be talking about the biological gender theory. According to biological theories and especially psychological approach and behavioral gender differences, they said that these are due to the biological differences between male and female. Only goes to show that if I have a friend named Roberto and he obviously has a penis, he can be considered as a male. On the other hand, I have a friend called Roberta, and then she obviously has a female genitalia, then she can be classified as a female. Within this family of approaches, researchers and psychologists have focused on historical explanations such as number 1, evolutionary processes, and proximal explanations such as your genes, our genes, and our sex hormones, and what sex hormones you are capable of giving off.
Give it to me like...
A number of theories focused on different interpersonal factors that may influence masculinity or femininity. Psychodynamic theory explains the development of masculine or feminine identity as a result of different kinds of relationships that typically exist between mothers and children of each sex. Family psychodynamics create gender with realizing that most of us are nurtured by mothers because women rather than men have primary parenting responsibilities, quote unquote, in Western society. And now let's proceed to psychological theories of gender development. These theories highlight the influence of communication on gender. We have two theories under the psychological branch. So the first one is the social learning theory and the second one is the cognitive development theory. Social learning theory claims that individuals learn to be masculine or feminine primarily by imitating others and getting responses from others to their behavior. Children imitate the communication they see on TV, films, or DVDs, as well as the communication of parents, teachers, siblings, and etc. At first, young children are most likely to mimic almost anything. Meanwhile, cognitive development theory focuses on how individuals learn from interaction with others to define themselves. Researchers claim that children pick models to teach themselves competency in masculine or feminine behavior. For example, dolls are labeled for girls and I am a girl, quote unquote, which means dolls are for me. It is established most children strive to develop communication, attitudes, goals, and self-presentations consistent with the gender that they consider theirs. A third group of theories focuses on understanding gender from a cultural or cross-cultural point of view. First, we'll look at findings from anthropology to discover the range of ways in which societies define masculinity or femininity. When confronted with different values and ways of doing things in a foreign culture, you see the norms of your own society in a new and clearer light. For example, Tahitian men tend to be gentle, mild-tempered, non-aggressive, and it is entirely acceptable for them to cry, to show fear, or express their emotions. The Mbuti, a tribe of pygmies in Central Africa, don't discriminate strongly between both sexes. In fact, both women and men gather roots, berries, nuts, and they both hunt. In Orango Island in the western shore of Africa, women are able to choose their mates, and once chosen, a man cannot refuse without dishonoring his family. Perhaps the most important lesson that we can draw from the anthropological studies is that cultures profoundly shape gender identity. Whatever genetic influences exist, it is the society we are socialized in that shapes our genetic endowments. The second concept under the cultural theories is the symbolic interactionism, which concentrates on how individuals acquire cultural values so that most of us adopt the identities of our culture that designates as appropriate for our gender. Learning gender occurs as others define children by sex and link sex to social expectations of gender. You are mommy's helper in the kitchen. Mothers may say to their daughters, telling young girls it is appropriate for them to be involved in domestic activity. Within our culture, one way to classify social life is through gender roles. Women are still regarded as caretakers, and men are still regarded as the primary breadwinners. Not only are roles assigned by society, but their value is defined as well. In Western culture, feminine remain subordinate. At very young ages, girls already understand that they are supposed to be nice, they are supposed to be nurturing, and must put other people's needs ahead of their own. Whereas boys understand that they are supposed to take command and assert themselves. As we take these cultural scripts of gender inside of ourselves, we learn that not only that there are different roles for men and women, but also that unequal values are assigned to them.
Give it to me like.
The last one is the critical theories of gender. So before I begin, I'd like to ask you a question. Where does the process of determining our gender identity begin? We already know what sex we are when we are young, right? So I'll be presenting critical theories, which are one of the theoretical approaches to gender. So, by the way, theories are everyday concepts that describe, explain, and predict relationships between phenomena. So, critical theories direct our attention to structures and practices by which societies classify people into groups and then accord more or less privilege to different groups. The critical cultural analysis of gender and sex understands categories such as male or female, masculine or feminine as relational. So, for example, cultural ideas about femininity exist in relation to ideas about masculinity, and the subordinance of women occurs in direct relationship to the dominance of men. The study of gender and sex factors centrally in a number of subfields within the discipline of communication studies, and this may include interpersonal communication, organizational communication, intercultural communication, and theoretical studies and media studies. So, narrowing it down to both social scientific and humanistic perspective, these subfields use a variety of methods for studying gender and sex, and the theories work together to explain both gender and sex differences. In this presentation, we look at various theories that explain the relationships between communication, gender, and culture. Rather than arguing which theory is correct, we attempted to discover how each point of view contributes to a comprehensive understanding of how gender develops. It gives us a deeper understanding of the complex origins of gender identity by weaving together the various theories that focus on an individual's interpersonal and cultural influences.
I remember something that happened when I was a little kid. Mom had taken me to the playground, and we were playing together. Some other boy started teasing me, calling me Mama's boy. I remember thinking I had to stop playing with Mom if I wanted those other boys to accept who I am. And that's sad.
Long before I started kindergarten, I knew that I was a boy, but I also knew that I wasn't. Everyone called me a boy, and I knew I had boy genitals. But I also knew that I identified more with girls and women and with girl things like dolls and dresses.
I was little, like 4 or 5 maybe. If I got dirty or was too loud, Mama would say that's no way for a lady to act. When I was quiet and nice, she'd say, "Now you're being a lady." I remember wanting Mama to approve of me and trying to act like a lady, but sometimes it was hard to figure out what was and wasn't ladylike in her book.
At school, I've gotten to know a woman from the Congo. She can't believe how American girls break up with their boyfriends and wives divorce husbands. She says she could never do that because she was raised to believe a woman can't leave her man and remain good. I know she is not happy in her marriage, but I also know she'll never leave it.